Hey, thanks for checking out this podcast. Our hope is that it's an encouragement to you, that it builds your faith, that it helps you be a better leader and a better influencer in and through your life. If this is helpful to you, we'd love you to subscribe and also share it with somebody else to encourage them too. Thanks.
Hey everyone, welcome to the VC Podcast. We are so excited to have you guys today. We are diving into a really exciting topic today. I'm excited to kind of pick your brain. I'm also excited to just be sitting down. It's been a while since we've shot one of these, so I'm excited to dive in again.
Me too. And we have a topic that actually we've been chatting about a little bit around here. Mm-hmm. And as we got talking about it, our youth and young adults pastor, Jeremy Holsworth, just got fired up, right? This just really hit something key in your own heart.
Today's topic is multiply.
Nice. Multiply.
If you want a fun book to read, Francis Chan has written a book called Multiply. It was one of the first Christian books I ever read as a teenager.
Wow, cool.
And it really made me really passionate about making disciples and being a multiplying person.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about multiply.
You know what? Even just, I think for so many Christ followers, they've just never thought about this topic.
Right.
It's almost like it's not on the radar.
Right.
And so even just bringing it up, putting it on the radar is just important. Yeah. And once you get it, it's like, oh, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Lay it down for us.
Well, here's the deal. We're called to be followers of Jesus. So you're a follower of Jesus. I'm a follower of Jesus. We follow him.
Yeah.
But then you ask the question, what do followers of Jesus do?
Right.
And there's all kinds of things. But one of the things followers of Jesus do is call more people to be followers of Jesus. So the way we say it is disciples make disciples.
Yep.
Right? Sheep make sheep.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
So multiply just means, you know, what are we going to multiply? Well, we're multiplying disciples.
Yep.
We're disciples who make disciples.
Absolutely.
And then as you reflect on that, it just gets bigger in concentric circles.
Right.
So disciples make disciples. Leaders multiply leaders.
Right.
Right. Small groups multiply small groups.
Huge.
Ministries then multiply ministries. And church services multiply into more church services.
Yep.
Church sites, locations, multiply into more church sites and locations. Local churches multiply into more local churches, and so forth. And that's the way the kingdom of God works. It's a
that's how we got here.
Yeah,
exactly. It blew up all the way from, the ancient Near East to, scattering, and now we're in the middle of nowhere, America.
Yeah.
North America.
So Paul tells
talking about Jesus.
Timothy, right? 2 Timothy 2:2, the things I taught you, in turn teach to faithful men who will in turn teach others.
Yep.
And that's why we're here. Exactly right.
Yep. Jesus saying, go and then be my witnesses from here to Judea, to Samaria, to the ends of the earth.
To the ends of the earth. So there's those concentric circles of just spread what we're doing.
Yeah. And it's all about life change. It's all about people meeting Jesus.
Right.
And people living and walking with Jesus. That's it.
Right.
To put it very simply, because this topic can go into the stratosphere.
Yeah.
We could talk about systems, we could talk about administration, but we really want to talk about the values today.
Exactly.
Why is multiply so important?
Yeah, because like you're saying, you bring it back to fundamentals. The reality is multiply is not the responsibility of some high-level strategy group.
Right.
It's the responsibility of every follower of Jesus. No matter who you are, you're to multiply.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So let's dive in.
Okay.
So I sat down with you, and we've been talking around this topic for a little while, and I just wanted to get a clear list of stuff. Like, what are the three main things we need to know about multiply? Yeah. And I asked you, what are the main three things? We sat down, and you said the first thing is DNA.
Number one,
and
DNA.
It blew me away. So please tell me about this.
Well, you need DNA to multiply, right? But because you multiply the DNA you have, right? So the challenge for number one, if you want to be a multiplying disciple, a multiplying church, a multiplying ministry, a multiplying leader, the challenge is you've got to be what you want to create, or you've got to be what you want to multiply, right?
One of the most valuable things you ever taught me was that you will reproduce what you are, not always what you teach.
Exactly. We teach what we know, but we reproduce what we are.
Exactly.
And so to get multiplication right, we have to always be starting with the right DNA. Always be saying, God, more important than your work through me is your work in me.
Absolutely.
Because what you do through me is going to always be a reflection of what you've done in me.
Yeah. So the word I always like to use around this is health. being a healthy Christ follower.
Right.
You know, we could spend a whole podcast on this, but if you want to multiply people who make disciples, so if you want to make a disciple, be a disciple.
Exactly.
First.
Exactly. So well said. To make a disciple, be a disciple.
Right. And that does not require perfection.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Trajectory.
Yeah.
Trajectory is more important than your location.
Right. Am I growing?
Yeah.
Am I changing?
Where
I
are we
becoming?
headed? Yep.
Right. And so rather than, because otherwise we're going to hesitate all that. We're like, oh, I'm not ready. Oh, I'm not ready. Oh, I'm not ready.
Yep.
No. The day you become a disciple of Jesus, you can start making disciples.
Yep.
In fact, I'd even argue before you become a disciple of Jesus, you can still influence others towards Jesus.
Right.
Because we're all on a journey somewhere. So,
right.
The goal is that I'm growing towards Christ,
right,
and that I'm helping other people grow towards Christ.
And here's why we say that. Because if someone is, following after Jesus, but they're not on a right trajectory. Right. Let's say they're stagnant, or even they're just declining.
Right.
In their health around following Jesus.
Yeah.
And it's important to get help for this too.
Yeah.
Like this is not a too far gone place to be. In fact, hopefully this is a wake up call for somebody.
Right.
It has been for me sometimes.
Yeah.
But when you're a disciple, there's consequences.
Yeah.
Because you're reproducing what you are. If you're a tired, exhausted, miserable Christian,
Yep,
you will reproduce tired, exhausted, miserable disciples.
Right.
And what's beautiful about that is you're pursuing after Jesus in a way that makes your heart whole. And there's suffering involved, but there's joy too.
Yeah.
When we're on an upward trajectory towards following after Jesus, even if it's a 1%, trajectory, it will create fruit, and again, good fruit.
Right.
But if you don't, the consequences are, unhealthy community.
Right.
Really.
Yep.
So
just on a more macro level.
Yeah.
A church should be called to multiply other churches. And the challenge then is, let's be a healthy church.
Let's be a healthy church first.
A small group should be challenged to multiply that. So the question is, do we want there to be another 100 small groups just like ours? Yep. And if not, then let's work on some
get
things.
healthy.
Yeah, let's build those things into us.
Yep.
Not to perfection, but just work on those so that as we multiply, we're multiplying good things forward.
Because no matter where you are, if you reproduce a growing Christian, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Because a growing Christian will get there eventually.
We'll get there.
But a non-growing Christian may not ever get there.
Exactly. And we all start at different points anyway.
So if you reproduce someone who has an upward trajectory, and the starting point could be anywhere.
Yeah.
As long as the trajectory is up and to the right.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So that's it. That's number one is DNA, right?
DNA.
You just realize that if you're going to multiply, you need the right things to multiply.
Absolutely. The next part, and I thought this was really important because this is hard. When we talk about the practical parts,
right?
Die.
Okay, that's awesome. So
be willing to die.
Right.
Let things die. Multiplying inevitably means change,
right?
And change means putting something to death.
Right.
It means an old way of doing things you're putting to death.
Right.
It means your expectations you're putting to death. And you know what? 99% of the time, growth is not comfortable.
Sure. Yep.
And being a disciple who makes disciples, you're gonna have moments where things suck, and things have to die.
Right.
So I think for me, I'm in a small group right now, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Shout out to my small group. It's amazing. And selfishly, I'd want to just stay in the small group with the 6 of us, 7 of us. I would love for that to just stay that way.
Yeah.
Selfishly speaking, if I could spend 2, 3, 4, 5 years with the same exact set of people, I'd feel great.
Yeah.
I need to let that idea of what the future looks like die.
Right. When as a small group, I think of multiplying.
Yeah.
There's some grief involved. Because there's like,
someone's going somewhere.
Who would go with who?
Yeah.
And what would happen? And, would we keep the same leaders or would they be different leaders?
Yep.
And those, but again, the reality is there's so much joy in that process.
Yeah.
Just like having a baby.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's hard
Yep.
and there is a sadness involved.
Yep.
There's a loss, but there's pain for sure. Lots of pain. But there is a reward on the other side.
Absolutely. And so the call is to, as you're healthy, you grow and split into 2.
Yeah.
And then those grow and split into 2 more.
Yeah.
Suddenly, instead of being a group that's one healthy small group, you have 4.
Yeah.
And there's going to be that many more people that are going to get closer to Jesus and be healthy. because of that sacrifice.
Totally. And, I think we always have this, but it won't be the same as it was. And here's one of my answers to that. It won't be anyway. Things never stay the same way they are, right? You can't just ever keep anything permanently the same. So that's just reality. Things aren't going to always stay there. Yeah.
You brought this verse up before we started. It's John chapter 12.
Yeah.
John chapter 12, verse 24, it says, "Very truly I tell you, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds."
Right.
Wow. And I know the immediate context that is about Jesus dying and allowing so much more to happen. But that concept is so true for our lives as we put to death things that are limited and we embrace things that are multiplication oriented. Things grow.
Yeah.
People meet Jesus that would not have met Jesus.
Yeah.
I think of our church. It's scary thinking about when we added a new service. We thought, man, are people going to be too spread out? Like, are our leaders going to be able to do this? Like, what do we do about this? And well, the reality is, if we want to multiply, things are going to have to die.
Yeah.
My Sunday morning routine is going to have to die.
Right.
Me wanting to see the same 7 or 8 or 10 friends on the same service.
Sure.
That had to die.
Yeah.
Now it's 5 and 5, and that's okay.
Right.
Things in my expectations, things in me about what my life looked like had to die in order for things to grow. And we've seen people come to Jesus.
And that's the thing. It's for the sake of.
Yeah.
So, there's loss, but there's also gain.
Yeah.
And the gain is always multiplied.
Yeah.
Right. So it's increases always more than the loss.
And here's the deal. If this is a hypothetical. I don't think this is very possible for us, but let's say tomorrow, and here's why it's not possible in a moment. Tomorrow we had 1,000 people in our church, but nobody got closer to Jesus and no one got saved. Who cares? Go home.
Right.
Go home. It's not about the people there.
Yeah.
It's not about how many people we get in the building. It's not about how big our organization can get. It's not about how big my friend group can get or whatever.
Yeah.
It is, if we do this, will more people be closer to Jesus?
Right.
If yes, then go.
Yeah.
And that's the hard and beautiful and joyful call of being a Christ follower, is in our own lives we die. We put to death the flesh.
Yeah.
And that goes across the board in lots of topics, and this is one of those.
Yeah, it's the way of the kingdom.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a way of service, it's a way of sacrifice, it's a way of laying down our lives.
Yeah.
And it comes with promises of resurrection and of growth and so forth. So every time Jesus called people to follow him, he called them to sacrifice.
Yep.
But every time Jesus called people to sacrifice, he promised greater rewards than the sacrifice was.
Absolutely.
And so it's a both and. Yeah.
Sacrifice comes with promise.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good deal.
So the first one is DNA. You've got to have the DNA. If you want to be a multiplying people, if we want to be a multiplying people, I have to be a person worth multiplying.
Right.
In other words, I have to be a disciple.
Yeah.
I have to be a disciple that's worth multiplying. Got to be a small group that's worth multiplying, being a church, a healthy church, all those things. That's one. 2 is die. Die to yourself, die to your expectations. Growth is hard. Yeah. And here's the third one, and I think they're all really important, but it's also really important, is wait.
Right.
Wait.
So there's
so
some
hard.
perseverance involved, right? In just sort of saying, okay, I'm gonna pour into this person's life. I'm gonna invest in this person. Again, maybe I could go to the baby illustration. You're so excited to have a baby, but there's a 9-month journey
waiting.
there, right? And and then even when your baby is born, there's a journey as they become a little person.
Exactly.
They grow into all their different facets of their personality and so on. So the waiting journey is part of the multiplication journey.
Absolutely. I think it's Eugene Peterson says long-term obedience in the same direction.
Right, a long obedience
in the same direction.
Absolutely.
It produces fruit, and that's what faith is, right?
Yeah.
It's the same here when it comes to multiplying. There will be times to pivot, with wisdom. There will be times to try new things, but ultimately, our goal is not, to see fast results.
Right.
We don't bring the growth. That's what's beautiful about it. We're obedient. We walk with Jesus, but it's Jesus who brings the growth.
Yeah.
And so we have to be patient and faithful, waiting upon Jesus.
The harvest will come.
Yeah.
And you plant the seeds, and then there's a time in between before the harvest, and you stare at that field, and you're like, what's going on? How come I don't see anything?
Yep.
Or how come it looks so small? And,
Yep.
you know, and it takes time before that harvest time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there will be times where you think, man, do I just throw the whole thing out?
Right.
No.
Right. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
And don't quit before the production, before the fruit comes.
Yeah. You know, I think of something you preached on just this last Sunday. You know, thousands of people walking away from Jesus.
Right.
That was like the easiest day to give up for a lot of those disciples, I imagine.
In John 6,
and it was, right? A lot
yeah.
of them did walk away, right? A lot of them
Sure.
disciples did walk away because it was easy that day.
Right.
Don't pick that day.
Right.
Let's trust Jesus with the process.
Yeah.
Let's wait on him and, you know, look to Jesus, say, to whom would I go, right? So don't give up. Don't give up.
Trust him. Keep on going. Keep sowing seeds.
Yeah.
Keep believing. Keep watering them.
Yeah.
And day by day, you'll look back one day and you'll go, oh my goodness, I had no idea, right? You know, when you see a seed, you know, what do you see? Do you see a tree?
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully, right? Hopefully there's a tree. But you could even see a forest, right? In just that one seed.
Yep.
But there's time to
Takes
get
time.
there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right on.
Awesome. Thank you guys for joining us. We love talking about this stuff. We'll see you on the next one.
Yeah. And let's remember that multiply has to be right in the heart of what it means to be a follower of Jesus.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Hope you're encouraged this week.